My involvement in standards has lasted 27 years and is still going on. And I think a lot of that was about the fact that what I was learning through my involvement in standards just continued to be highly relevant and useful in my work. Although my work evolved through various different areas, but knowing and understanding standards and how to implement them somehow was always useful in all those jobs. So I think that's what kept me involved. And my interests have kind of moved over time from being purely a technical contributor focused on a single document to perhaps beginning to realize that standards form a complete family, and you have to be aware of the other standards that influence the field in which you're working. I think what I see there is that what standards are able to do is provide organizations with a framework. You could almost call it a thought process through which they can organize themselves not only to comply with legislation, but also to set for themselves objectives in terms of health and safety performance, and to work systematically towards those objectives. So the organization itself becomes, as it were, a learning organization. And I think that's the difference between pure legislative compliance and the organization really proactively managing its own risks. So I think that's why standards have eventually entered the space and proved to be quite useful. I think I'd highlight ISO 45003, published in fact in the early months of the global COVID-19 pandemic, with its focus on workers' psychological health, safety and well-being. And that couldn't have been better timed, I think, because we were in an era where suddenly a lot of the taboos around psychological health were beginning to break down, and organizations were beginning to realize they had to be proactive in supporting their workers in that respect. And our standard just arrived at the point where it has, I think, become the focal point of many of the conversations globally around what should organizations be doing in terms of psychological health. So I think we are making progress, but I also temper that with recognizing there are a huge number of organizations, and in particular small, medium and micro organizations, which probably have the greatest need of our standards in terms of the struggle that they have with health and safety performance, but which are just simply unaware of the existence of standards or find them too difficult to use. So there's a big challenge ahead for us, I think, to really address that and make sure that we're helping all organizations to drive forward their health and safety performance. I think one of the most important things that I've learned over the years is the importance of the contribution that leadership makes to the outcomes of any committee activity. And I'm thinking there about leadership at all levels. I'm thinking about the work of conveners in planning the development of a document, in organizing and marshalling those conversations within a working group, making sure the group allows space for non-native English speakers, for example, to contribute effectively, making sure everybody's clear what's going on at any time in the discussion, and perhaps most importantly, helping the group to find their way through those disagreements and different perspectives which emerge, and to work their way forward to consensus on something that everybody can accept and agree with. I think perhaps two things I've learned which really have carried over into my day job and my whole approach to the world of work. I think one is to realize and recognize the huge importance of soft skills and emotional intelligence in everything we do. You see it every day in standards development, the difference in what people can achieve, whether it's as a member of a working group or indeed as a convener or a leader, depending on their level of soft skills. So for me, standards work's been a great training ground to practice those skills all the time, and very useful then in the day job to have had that practice and that experience. I think the other thing I've learned through standards work is I think you start with the sense that you're there to try and get your views into a given document And it's taken me some time over the years to sort of gradually appreciate that the most interesting conversations in standards are with people who don't share your view. And I've carried that certainly through to the world of work as well. There's so much opportunity to learn by exploring the experience and the perspectives of people who don't just say, yes, I agree with that. I'm very honoured and delighted to receive this award. It came as a really lovely surprise. And I think it's really nice that BSI acknowledges the contribution of volunteers through the standards process, because we're so dependent on people being willing to commit time and effort in a sustained way to produce the documents that we do. So I think it's important, and I'm so pleased that recognition system exists. But I also have reflected on the fact that I've gained so much myself from being involved in standards in terms of my own personal and professional development. And of course, that's a prize that's available to all of us when we participate in standards.